Most nice guys grow up believing that goodness alone guarantees respect, loyalty, and success. They are taught that if they are patient, honest, generous, and self-sacrificing, the world will eventually reward them. They believe that kindness is strength, that silence is maturity, and that being agreeable makes them likable. Machiavelli would look at this belief and call it dangerous. Not because kindness is evil, but because blind goodness in a world that understands power is a form of self-destruction. Machiavelli did not write for saints. He wrote for men who wanted to survive reality. He understood something most nice guys refuse to accept. The world does not operate on fairness, intention, or moral purity. It operates on perception, leverage, and consequence. People do not respond to how good your heart is. They respond to how much power they believe you hold and how costly it would be to cross you. The first mistake of the nice guy is believing that being liked is more important than being respected. Machiavelli warned that love is fragile because it depends on gratitude, and gratitude disappears the moment sacrifice becomes inconvenient. Respect, on the other hand, is rooted in fear of consequence. This does not mean terror or cruelty. It means boundaries that cannot be crossed without cost. The nice guy avoids conflict to maintain harmony, but in doing so, he trains people to see him as safe to ignore, interrupt, delay, or exploit. Machiavelli would say this clearly: if you are harmless, you are forgettable. If you are predictable, you are controllable. The nice guy often believes transparency is honesty, so he reveals everything: his intentions, emotions, plans, fears. But Machiavelli taught that mystery is power. When people know exactly what you will do, they stop valuing you. When your reactions are uncertain, people calculate before acting. Nice guys often overgive, believing generosity builds loyalty. Machiavelli warned that excessive generosity creates entitlement, not gratitude. When people receive without earning, they begin to expect rather than appreciate. The moment you stop giving, resentment replaces gratitude. Power is not built by constant giving. It is built by selective reward. Make people earn your time, your energy, your kindness. What is free is never respected. Another fatal flaw of the nice guy is his need to be understood. He explains himself endlessly. He justifies his decisions. He clarifies his intentions. Machiavelli would call this weakness. Explanation lowers status. Powerful men do not over-explain. They decide. The more you explain, the more you invite judgment. Silence, when used correctly, creates authority. Let people wonder why, rather than feel entitled to your reasons. Nice guys often believe morality means avoiding manipulation. Machiavelli would say manipulation already exists everywhere, and refusing to understand it only makes you its victim. Influence is not evil. Ignorance is. Every interaction involves power dynamics. Pretending otherwise does not make you virtuous. It makes you blind. Learn how people influence, persuade, pressure, and deceive. Not to become cruel, but to become untouchable. Machiavelli warned against being overly forgiving. Mercy without memory invites repeated betrayal. Nice guys forgive quickly, hoping to preserve peace. But peace without strength is temporary. When people know there are no lasting consequences, they repeat the behavior. True strength is forgiving once, watching carefully, and never allowing the same wound twice. The nice guy often confuses patience with passivity. He waits for his turn, believing effort will eventually be noticed. Machiavelli would say opportunities are taken, not granted. Those who wait are forgotten. Assertive action shapes reality. If you do not claim space, someone else will occupy it. If you do not speak, louder voices will define the narrative. Machiavelli also warned about appearing too virtuous. This hidden arrogance blinds them. When reality does not reward them, they feel betrayed, angry, and confused. Machiavelli would say that morality is not a badge you wear to demand compensation from life. It is a tool you use wisely when it serves survival and influence. The moment morality becomes entitlement, it becomes weakness. Nice guys often mistake self-control for self-denial. They suppress anger, desire, ambition, and dominance because they fear these traits make them bad people. Machiavelli understood that denying your darker instincts does not eliminate them. It only drives them underground where they sabotage you unconsciously. Power comes from integration, not suppression. A man who knows his capacity for aggression and keeps it controlled is far more dangerous and respected than a man who pretends it does not exist. Machiavelli would tell the nice guy that people test boundaries instinctively, not out of malice, but curiosity. When you allow small violations, you invite larger ones. Disrespect rarely arrives loudly. It enters quietly through jokes, delays, excuses, and subtle dismissals. The nice guy laughs it off to avoid tension. Machiavelli would say, this is the moment where fate turns against you. Address small disrespect immediately, calmly, and firmly, and you will never have to deal with large betrayal later. Another truth the nice guy avoids is that people are loyal to outcomes, not effort. Machiavelli observed that humans praise success and abandon failure regardless of intentions. The nice guy works hard behind the scenes and expects recognition, but visibility matters more than struggle. Learn to show results, not sacrifice. Results command respect. Sacrifice invites pity, and pity is the opposite of power. Nice guys often confuse empathy with self-abandonment. They listen endlessly, absorb others' problems, and place themselves last. Machiavelli would say that empathy without hierarchy drains strength. Care selectively. Protect your core. You cannot lead if you are exhausted. You cannot command respect if you are always available as emotional support. Machiavelli warned against being too dependent on approval. The nice guy seeks reassurance before acting. He checks reactions, reads faces, waits for permission. Power moves first and explains later. Decisiveness creates momentum, and momentum attracts followers. People trust those who act with certainty, even if imperfect, more than those who hesitate with perfect intentions. Another illusion is believing honesty means revealing weakness. Machiavelli would say reveal strengths publicly and weaknesses privately, if at all. Vulnerability is valuable only with those who have earned trust. Broadcasting wounds invites predators, not healers. Strength attracts protection. Weakness attracts exploitation. Nice guys often stay silent when wronged, believing time will fix things. Machiavelli knew that time favors the bold, not the silent. Silence is interpreted as consent. If you do not define your position, others will define it for you. Speak once clearly and without emotion. That single moment of firmness can change years of disrespect. Machiavelli also understood the power of selective distance. Nice guys cling when relationships feel unstable. They try harder, give more, explain deeper. This signals neediness. Distance, when controlled, restores balance. When you withdraw attention without drama, people feel the absence. Value becomes visible only when it is missing. Nice guys often believe fairness is universal. Machiavelli rejected this fantasy. He knew that different people require different strategies. Treating everyone the same is not justice, it is laziness. Some people respond to kindness, others only to firmness. Adaptation is intelligence. Another warning Machiavelli would give is about promises. Nice guys promise too easily because they want to be trusted, but every promise is a future liability. Break one promise and your credibility collapses. Make fewer promises. Deliver more than you say. Reliability comes from consistency, not declarations. Machiavelli would also say that reputation must be defended aggressively. Allow one false narrative to stand, and it will spread. Nice guys avoid confrontation to protect peace, but peace built on lies becomes prison. Correct misinformation early, calmly, factually, and without apology. Nice guys often mistake stability for safety. They remain in environments that drain them because it feels familiar. Machiavelli would say stagnation is slow death. Growth requires discomfort. Power belongs to those who can endure temporary chaos for long-term control. Machiavelli believed that people remember how you made them feel at moments of strength and weakness. The nice guy is present in weakness but absent in strength. Be visible when you are winning. Let success associate your name with authority. Another trap is over-availability. The nice guy replies instantly, helps immediately, sacrifices without delay. Machiavelli would say urgency signals low value. Control response time. Let people wait occasionally. Anticipation builds importance. Machiavelli also warned against moral absolutism. Life is not black and white. Flexibility allows survival. The nice guy clings to rigid rules and breaks under pressure. The powerful adapt without losing direction. Ultimately, Machiavelli would not tell the nice guy to become cruel. He would tell him to become dangerous but disciplined. A man who is incapable of harm is not virtuous. He is harmless. Virtue exists only when restraint is a choice, not a limitation. Stop advertising goodness. Let actions speak selectively. Stop expecting fairness. Build leverage. Stop begging for validation. Become undeniable. When you walk into a room and speak less but mean more, when you give less but matter more, when you move without apology and stand without explanation, the world will adjust around you. Machiavelli would also warn the nice guy about the danger of moral exhaustion. Being constantly good in a world that does not reward goodness drains the soul. Over time, the nice guy becomes bitter, passive-aggressive, or silently resentful. Machiavelli would say this is not because the world is cruel, but because the nice guy refuses to update his strategy. Reality does not owe you alignment. You must align yourself with reality. Nice guys often confuse trust with blindness. They give trust freely, believing suspicion is negativity. Machiavelli knew that trust must be built slowly and tested repeatedly. Blind trust is not virtue, it is negligence. Observe actions, not words. People reveal their loyalty not in comfort but under pressure. Machiavelli would remind the nice guy that gratitude fades faster than memory of power. People forget favors quickly but remember who could help or hurt them. This is not cynicism, it is human nature. Build systems where respect does not depend on emotional appreciation but on structural consequence. The nice guy often hopes his intentions will protect him from judgment. Machiavelli would say intentions are invisible, outcomes are visible. Society judges results, not effort. Learn to measure yourself by impact, not by how much you tried. Nice guys often underestimate the importance of timing. They speak too late, act too slowly, forgive too early. Machiavelli believed timing was everything. A single firm action at the right moment outweighs years of passive patience. Another weakness Machiavelli would identify is the need to be needed. Nice guys derive value from being useful, but usefulness without authority leads to servitude. Be valued, not merely relied upon. The moment your worth comes only from service, you lose leverage. Machiavelli would tell the nice guy to master emotional detachment. Not coldness, but clarity. Strong emotions cloud judgment. When anger, fear, or guilt dictate action, others control you indirectly. Calm is dominance. Composure unsettles manipulators. Nice guys often overcommunicate. They explain feelings, clarify motives, reassure constantly. Machiavelli would say communicate less but with precision. Silence creates weight. Words lose power when overused. Another harsh truth is that people mirror how you treat yourself. If you tolerate disrespect internally, others will reflect it externally. Self-respect is communicated non-verbally through posture, tone, boundaries, and decisiveness. Machiavelli understood that authority is felt before it is spoken. Nice guys fear being seen as selfish. Machiavelli would say selfishness is not prioritizing yourself, it is exploiting others. There is a difference. Self-preservation is not immorality. If you cannot protect yourself, you cannot protect anything else. Machiavelli would also say that every relationship has a power balance, whether acknowledged or not. Ignoring it does not remove it. It only ensures you lose it. Learn when to lead, when to follow, and when to walk away. Nice guys often cling to fairness in negotiation. Machiavelli would advise aiming for advantage first, compromise second. Enter negotiations knowing your leverage. Those who reveal desperation lose before discussion begins. Another lesson is about image. Machiavelli believed appearance often outweighs truth. The nice guy assumes reality speaks for itself. It does not. Shape how you are perceived. Be intentional with how you dress, speak, and position yourself. Respect is partly psychological. Machiavelli would caution against excessive loyalty to institutions, friends, or ideals that no longer serve you. Loyalty must be reciprocal. Blind loyalty is submission disguised as virtue. Nice guys often wait for permission to become powerful. Machiavelli would say permission is never granted. It is taken. Authority is claimed through action and defended through consistency. He would also warn about the illusion of safety in numbers. The nice guy hides in groups believing collective morality will protect him, but crowds abandon individuals quickly. Build individual strength. Machiavelli understood that fear, when controlled, is more reliable than affection. This does not mean being feared as a tyrant, but being respected enough that consequences are assumed. When people calculate before crossing you, you are safe. Nice guys often confuse being calm with being silent. Calm confrontation is power. Emotional confrontation is weakness. Learn to address issues without heat, without apology, and without aggression. Machiavelli would remind the nice guy that time is a weapon. Do not rush to respond. Let others reveal urgency. The one who waits controls the frame. Another trap is nostalgia. Nice guys cling to how things used to be. Machiavelli would say attachment to the past blinds you to present reality. Adapt or be replaced. Machiavelli believed that discipline creates freedom. The nice guy avoids structure, believing flexibility equals kindness. But discipline builds self-respect, and self-respect commands respect. In the end, Machiavelli's advice is not about abandoning goodness. It is about anchoring goodness in strength. Kindness without power invites exploitation. Power without restraint invites destruction. The balance is mastery. When you stop trying to be liked and start being respected, when you stop explaining and start acting, when you stop hoping and start structuring outcomes, life shifts. People treat you differently. Conversations change. Boundaries hold. Silence becomes powerful. Presence becomes heavy. That is when the nice guy disappears and the dangerous, disciplined man emerges. Machiavelli would also remind the nice guy that dignity is not given by others. It is enforced by behavior. When you allow yourself to be rushed, interrupted, talked over, or dismissed, you are teaching people how to treat you. Power is communicated in what you tolerate. Every time you let something slide to keep the peace, you weaken your position. Nice guys often believe sacrifice earns loyalty. Machiavelli would say sacrifice without leverage earns dependency, not respect. When you give too much, people do not feel gratitude. They feel control. They assume you will always be there. The moment you are not, resentment replaces appreciation. Machiavelli understood that people respect limits more than generosity. A firm boundary, calmly enforced, creates more loyalty than endless forgiveness. When people know exactly where the line is, they adjust their behavior. When the line keeps moving, they test endlessly. Nice guys often fear silence, so they fill it with words. Machiavelli would say silence unsettles people because it shifts control. The one who speaks less listens more. The one who listens more learns more. Information is leverage. Machiavelli would warn against emotional bargaining. Nice guys say yes out of guilt, fear of disappointing others, or desire to be seen as good. But every yes given under pressure becomes resentment later. A clean no delivered calmly preserves respect on both sides. Another weakness Machiavelli would point out is over-identification with roles. The nice guy becomes the reliable one, the understanding one, the helper. These roles trap him. When he tries to change, people resist because it disrupts their comfort. Machiavelli would say, break roles deliberately. Reinvent yourself through behavior, not explanation. Nice guys often believe consistency equals trustworthiness. Machiavelli would say strategic inconsistency keeps others alert. Predictability allows exploitation. You do not need to be chaotic, only non-obvious. Machiavelli would also caution against public displays of suffering. The nice guy shares struggles openly, hoping for support, but public weakness lowers status. Share selectively. Strength attracts allies. Fragility attracts controllers. Nice guys often confuse humility with invisibility. Machiavelli would advise standing tall without apology. You can acknowledge others without shrinking yourself. Confidence is not arrogance when it is grounded in competence. Machiavelli believed power is cumulative. Small wins compound. The nice guy ignores small victories, focusing only on effort. Celebrate wins internally. Let success change how you move, speak, and decide. Another harsh truth is that people respect decisiveness even when decisions are imperfect. The nice guy delays wanting the perfect answer. Machiavelli would say movement creates advantage. Stagnation creates vulnerability. Nice guys often hope relationships will self-correct. Machiavelli would say nothing self-corrects without pressure. Pressure can be distance, firmness, or consequence. Without it, dysfunction becomes normal. Machiavelli also warned about false alliances. The nice guy trusts words of loyalty without proof. True allies reveal themselves when your position weakens. Test loyalty with small boundaries before trusting with large ones. Nice guys often confuse politeness with submission. Politeness is tone. Submission is behavior. Fear. You can be polite and firm simultaneously. This combination is deeply unsettling to manipulators. Machiavelli would also advise mastering posture, pace, and presence. Power is physical before it is verbal. Slow movement, steady eye contact, controlled gesture signal confidence without a word. Another illusion is believing morality protects you from betrayal. Machiavelli knew betrayal often comes from those closest to you. Do not become paranoid, but remain observant. Nice guys often seek closure. Machiavelli would say closure is rarely granted, it is claimed. Walk away without explanation when necessary. Unanswered questions create more reflection than long speeches. Machiavelli believes scarcity governs value. When you remove yourself from spaces where you are undervalued, your value recalibrates. Staying teaches people they can afford to ignore you. In time, as you apply these principles, you will notice a shift. People speak differently around you. They listen more. They hesitate before making demands. They choose words carefully. This is not fear born of cruelty. It is respect born of clarity. You did not become louder. You did not become meaner. You became precise.